Alright, Selyne, the anti-big boy pal. And really, you don't care about what skills you have on it, as long as you have Holy Burst and Earblade. The attack can be boosted by Hukratis. You could also use a neutral booster for it. What it's really about is the partner skill. It enhances the Holy Burst damage by double the amount. Like all neutral and dark skills deal double damage. It does have a couple of exclusive skills, but we don't really care about those. We only care about Airblade and Holy Burst. The last skill is pretty much just a filler skill. You can pick whatever you like there. Just to show how good she is when she has this double damage Holy Burst. So Selyne sneaks up on her prey, she pops a Holy Burst, and you get Jetragon dropping, I don't know how much that was, a little bit more than half health. Then she is very slow, and you can't use your weapons while mounted, but you really don't need to. You put up a little Star Mine, Jetragon, he's gonna walk right into those. 2 skills to kill the legend, pretty decent. And now what I'm about to show you is highly illegal. Don't tell Pocket Peer, this is the secret tech that's been hidden away. But first, you let her use Holy Burst. Look at that damage, this is hard mode Phalaris. And then this is the secret tech. Another Holy Burst. Another Holy Burst. And he's even giving me the high ground. So yeah, that's hard mode Phalaris in about 16 seconds. Pretty good. So without using the secret tech, this is a full fight against Victor. So as mentioned, Selyne is the anti-big boy pal. And that's pretty much due to her unique, or it's not unique, I think Grintail also has this, but let's ignore Grintail for now. She has this ability, doubles the damage of neutral and dark skills. So if you're using Holy Burst and Airblade against Victor, Ryu, even Xenolord, they're all gonna take huge amounts of damage. And as you saw, even Jetragon and Marcus and Phalaris, that is. So this pal is very well suited for fighting big pals, but then fighting small pals like Bjorn and stuff just wasn't as good. So the skills that you want to choose on this pal, since you can't shoot when mounted, you want like these quick wind-up skills, which thankfully both Airblade and Holy Burst are really quick to use. I think if she does start using a skill and you mount up, you do get that bonus as well. And also if you dismount too quickly, you won't get the bonus damage. So it's really about playing around these Holy Burst timings and the cycling with the skills. You can see if you have Serenity and Impatient, you sort of time it around the cooldown when you mount and dismount just for that Holy Burst effect. So this is hard mode Victor again, being absolutely melted. And this pal is also running Vampiric for these tower bosses, which means that it's really the player that's fragile. It used to be that if you're using like Chillet, Frostallion, Ragnarok, at least for me, it was always the mount dying before I died if I got hit by something. Like if you got hit by Airblade or anything. But here you can see against Bjorn, if you look at the timer, there's 9 minutes past, 1 minute left. So really the DPS against Bjorn was quite low, just because Holy Burst doesn't hit that well. You can see if you place it like I did there, a bit edge to the side, so he gets hit by those beams going around. It does hit a little bit better. But overall, Selyne doesn't perform as well against these smaller hitbox pals, while being absolutely broken against the big hitbox pals. So I'm not going to show the full Bjorn fight because it was 10 minutes long. You can win with her against it, but compared to other pals, which took maybe 5 or 6 minutes, it was a lot better. What I am going to be showing now is the Blazamut Ryu Ultra with nothing but Selyne. So you start by pulling up that Holy Burst right as he spawns, and look at that damage. That's a lot of damage. 1 Holy Burst and 1 Airblade. The first skill wasn't cooldown, so let's just ignore that one now. And Selyne is dark, so she's weak to Ryu. So Ryu really is the counter. He deals super effective damage against Selyne. But that doesn't really matter when you do a Holy Burst like that and you heal up. So again in this fight, it's reverse what it was before. It's not the mount dying and the player surviving. It's me being the fragile one, while Selyne is the carry. So she heals to full on every single Holy Burst and Airblade combo. Then Starmine, like, it's fine. Her exclusive skills are fine. They're just not as good as the other skills. So Starmine is nice against stuff like Victor, Ryu, these big pals. And then you got the Starlight Beam being pretty decent against smaller targets. And then the blade one that sends out 2 blades that I can't pronounce, I'm not even gonna try. That's a bad dodge there. That one isn't great either. It's really about Holy Burst and Airblade having the double damage effect. So if you're fighting something that can potentially kill your pal, you want Vampiric. And if you're not fighting something that will kill your pal, like a little bit easier tower bosses, maybe not the hard modes, where you don't need the heal effect, it's actually a lot of damage to skip Vampiric and go for something like Musclehead instead. You could even do Celestial Emperor. Although I do feel like overall now with these, we have Demon God and Musclehead giving 30%, Legend giving 20% attack bonus and the defense and the speed, which Selyne being very slow, it's very nice to have that bonus speed. I felt like these 20% element buffs have really fallen off. I'm not sure why you would use something like Celestial Emperor over the 30% buff from Demon God, Musclehead, or even the 20% buff from Legend. And speaking of Legend, something I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, you can now breed for Selyne. So you can get Legend. If you wanted to, you could pass a skill to her, which would probably be a Dark Wisp, because you double Dark Wisp damage. But really, you can ignore Dark on Selyne for now, because what are you fighting? Palladius? There's nothing to fight really, and Ryu, Shadowbeak, Xenolord, they're all resisting those Dark skills. So overall, like, yes, Dark pals are great. Libro, Shadowbeak, they're all great pals. But there's not much to fight with Dark right now. They're in a bit of a bad spot until we get some more bosses that they are either neutral against. Like, she's fine against Saya, but Saya has a small hitbox. Björn has the small hitbox. But you could see against like Marcus, it's a lot of damage. So in general, right now we just have a lot of pals that resist Dark. It's not that fun. But yeah, back to the breeding chain. It's Palladius and Lunaris, and you can add Dark Wisp. Yeah, I went on a little bit of a tangent there. You can add Dark Wisp. It's a good skill to have if you are gonna breed for something. Then you can choose if you want to keep Celestial Emperor for like, I don't know, for fun. But it's Palladius and Lunaris. I advise that you breed the combat passives to Lunaris and then use the random Palladius you have. You do want the Legend anyway. You don't have to pass a skill. That's just if you might as well kind of thing. But really, Airblade, Holy Burst, and then just throwing whatever third skill you want, like the Star Mine or anything, will work fine. Just as long as it's a short wind-up skill. Just because you can't shoot when mounted, I feel if you could shoot when mounted, this pal would probably be the strongest pal in the game. Am I missing a pal there? Like, Noklam is great, and you can't really argue against Gobfin, but what if you had 4 Gobfins and Selyne? Wouldn't that be neat? Because the booster pal stacking is a bit odd. It says that each booster pal gives 20%, so you have 4 booster pals, right? That should be 80% more damage. But last time I checked it was closer to 50%, so I don't think the stacking of the booster pals stacks the same way as other buffs, like the food buff or something. I think it's just affecting the base stats and not stacking with souls, food and stuff like other stats do. So they don't give... I mean, 50% is nice. You can't argue with that. Like 50%, and then you have the partner skill effect of doubling the neutral damage. So they're not bad, but I feel like 4 Gobfins would probably be a little bit higher DPS if I could, you pop Holy Burst when mounted and then you spam a bunch of quads. Quad missiles would be quite neat. And I don't think I've been talking a lot about the fight itself now. It's mostly just going on in the background. It's a lot of me just managing my shield. When you have just 1 health on the shield, you won't take damage. The shield just pops, but you stay full health. You can see I do have the best healing potion on, so I'm healing up a little bit during the fight. Hopefully the player gets some sort of Vampiric that isn't just Fellbath, maybe an accessory or something. But that might probably be a little bit too overpowered. So I'm just managing my shields. I am mounting up as often as I can, I feel like, without dying. I could have timed the Holy Bursts a bit better throughout the fight, like mounting up on Holy Burst cooldown. But there's a lot of me just managing my health and shields in this fight. As soon as my shields are up, I play aggressive. If my shields are down, I play defensive. So Ryu changes into his next phase now with 4 minutes left on the clock. So if he heals a third of his health, isn't he really healing like a fourth, a quarter? Since you're dealing 3/3 before he heals, and then he heals a third. That makes 4/3, right? Is that math? So he's not really healing a third of the total fight throughout the total health throughout the fight. So you're not fighting the electric phase as much as the other phases. And I feel like the electric phase really like it's kind of chill. Like his electric skills don't really seem very dangerous. You get these big wind-up animations. There you can see the big spots on the ground. Just like don't stand in the electric puddles. He runs up really close and does a big thundercloud like this one. And this one doesn't even deal a lot of damage. Like you can see my health there. It doesn't really affect me. Then he does a big wind-up for this tornado. You just run. Like just run. And it deals doesn't deal a whole lot of damage as well. Bit of a face tank now when you're level 60 with good armor. All the pals also have stronghold strategist, or all the Hukrates, giving me a decent amount of defense. You could also use your third item slot for these rings of resistance. This beam attack is also not very dangerous. So phase 2, like these electric skills, they're fine. They shred base pals, like they're really dangerous for the base pals. I always felt like phase 2 just absolutely deleted Anubis and Orzerks or whatever I was using in phase 2 compared to phase 1. But that might just also be that those pals are a little bit more squishy than Germantide. But I feel like it's a anti-base pal phase. And overall, you can see that now that we have these level 60 pals, like Selyne, level 60, full of souls, new Demon God passive, Legend passive, healing with Vampiric. If it wasn't for the timer, she would just solo it, I guess, if you just stood around and watched. But you can see that the timer is ticking down. So this is kind of like the power that you need. This is around the DPS that you need, a maxed Selyne. But at the same time, I wasn't using the double damage Holy Burst as much as I might have been able to. You can play this fight a little bit better. Not sure if how this would do against regular Xenolord. I think she would probably just die. Might give it a go later and see if it works. Because the Holy Burst damage is huge, but I feel like it would be me that dies. Like if I try to mount on Selyne and he uses the Omega Laser stuff. Like Frostallion can just outspeed some of his skills if you're on Frostallion. So I don't feel like this would work very well on Xenolord. But that's Selyne, the anti-big boy pal. Absolutely shreds the big bosses with that Holy Burst Airblade combo. After that, you don't really need to care. So for now, thanks for watching.